Thank you for tuning into We're the Part for You broadcast. I'm Pastor Stephen Dow, the pastor here at Rainbow Park Baptist Church, affectionately known as the Park. What's unique about Rainbow Park Baptist Church is that we promise to offer you 4 R's: rest, relaxation, renewal, and restoration. So as you go into the sanctuary and view this wonderful power worship experience, I pray that it will ignite you in a way that if you're out there and you need some spiritual rest, some spiritual relaxation, some spiritual renewal, or some spiritual restoration, you will come and be a part of the worship experience. And if you don't have a church home, you will become a member of the Park. But if you're not a member, be a friend. And thank you for watching.
I come by just on this next level of faith sermon, part 1, to tell someone that as you think within yourself, so are you. You ought to think what God says about you, not what you say about you, not what some crazy deranged person called you in the midst of anger, and you've been living with that, thinking that, rehearsing that. Someone called you stupid, and you've been thinking you were stupid ever since you was in the 3rd grade. Now you are way past the 3rd grade, and you still are thinking that you are stupid. Well, God said you are more than a conqueror. God says you're the head and not the tail. God said you can do all things through Christ, which gives him strength. So Proverbs 23:7 says, for as he thinks within himself, so is he. Come just a little closer. I want you to understand that God can't interfere with your thinking if you don't allow him. Yeah. God can't interfere with your thinking if you don't allow him. Thinking is one of the most powerful things that you have, because you take your mind with you everywhere you go. When you go to Publix, you take your mind with you. When you go to Macy's, you take your mind with you. When you go to work, you take your mind with you. When you came to church this morning, you brought your mind with you. I just want to ask you a rhetorical question. Will you allow God to renew your mind? Here in the narrative in Numbers chapter 13, the Israelites have arrived at the southern border of the promised land. You know the narrative, you know the story. These are God's chosen people. God has brought them across the Red Sea. God has brought them through this danger, seen and unseen. And finally, they have arrived at the southern border of the promised land. Ever since the days they left Egypt, this is where they were headed. They were headed to the promised land. They remember God telling them that there was a promised land awaiting them. Someone here this morning, you heard God 10 years ago tell you about a promised land. Someone here this morning, you heard God promise you something 15 years ago, 20 years ago, 5 minutes ago. I came by just to tell you, don't grow weary. Don't grow weary, amen. Don't grow weary. The land was a gift that God had promised them. This was a land of Canaan, which I am giving the Israelites. And now, say now. They have arrived. But here's the proposition for the message this morning. Giants around the promise. Yeah. It's just like God gives you a job. You've been waiting on this promotion. You've been waiting on it. And when you get there, some food shows up. You've been praying and you've been fasting and you've had the prayer warriors to pray for you. You've even prayed for you. You fast and you finally get this job, and your first day on the job, of food greets you. And you're asking yourself, is this the job that I prayed for? How could it be that I got this promotion, I got this job, I got this man, I got this woman, I got this child? Am I preaching to anybody here? And all of a sudden, it seems like this ain't what it looks like. Well, see, the problem is seeing more of the giants than the promise. Yeah, we're going to get into the narrative in just a second. Sometimes we see more of the problem than we see the promise of what God has promised us. Amen. Could I give you a news flash? He ain't going to be perfect. She's not going to be perfect. Your child's not going to be perfect. Your job's not going to be perfect. Nothing in your life is going to be perfect. Now, here's where I'm going to run 5 of y'all out of here. Lady Robbins at home sick. She said, just preach the word, Steve. So I'm just going to preach the word. But I'm going to go ahead and step on 5 toes real quick. News flash. You ain't perfect. And I'm just kidding. I just want those 5 people to know. I know you want everything to be perfect. I mean, everybody. You want your husband to be perfect. You want your wife to be perfect. You want the dog to be perfect. You want the cat to be perfect. You want the squirrel to be perfect. You want the garbage man to pick up your trash to be perfect. You want the mail person to be perfect. You want everything to be perfect. But newsflash, Thank you. I ain't mean to tee you off on the first Sunday of the new year. If I tease you off, come back. We got 51 more. We got 51 more. I mean, I'm just trying. I just don't want. I would be irresponsible as a pastor, as a preacher, if I let you leave out here thinking that you were perfect. Come closer, because you do know the one that's preaching not perfect. Oh, y'all didn't know that? Well, after the service, I'm going to go to the restroom just like any other human. Okay, I thought I'd try to help you. The theology in the text as we get ready for the text, a seesaw faith. A seesaw faith. When I was a little boy, I enjoyed playing with my girl cousins. They would always go to the park, and there in the park there were merry-go-rounds, and there were swings, and there were slides, and then there was a seesaw. The seesaw. You know how the seesaw goes. You're going up and down. If you're on the seesaw with somebody that's playing fair, they'll go up, and then they'll put you down, and you'll go up, and you'll go down, and you'll go up, and then all of a sudden, sometimes if they want to play unfair with you, they either wouldn't let you up or wouldn't let you down. I wish I had some kids in there. So it is with some of us. Our faith is just like that. Sometimes it's up, sometimes it's down. And sometimes life won't let your faith go up, and sometimes life will try to keep your faith down. Am I preaching to three people in here? Amen? I'll show it to you in the text. Let's look at the text again. But before we get to the text this morning, as I exegete the text this morning, I want you to go to verse 27. Before we get to verse 30. Here it is. And they told him, we came to the land to which you sent us. It flows with milk and honey, and this is its fruits. Stop it there. Here's the narrative and rewind. This was Moses and this was Aaron. When they got to the promised land, right at the southern border, they sent 12 spies out to go spy out the land. So it was 12 spies. We break our church down into tribes. So it was one tribal leader of each one of the tribes. And so therefore they went and they spied out the land. And they came back and they all witnessed this. They all saw this. And they saw that the land had milk and honey and it had fruits. Theologians say that the fruit was so big, it was big old grapes. It was big, huge grapes. Not the little ones that they got at Publix, but the big grapes. And they said that they had to carry them in clusters. They wanted to show the people fruit and evidence of what God said was in the land was in the land. Now watch this, even with all that evidence that the milk was there, the honey was there, the grapes were there, everything that God said was there was there. Somebody say it was there. But however, in verse 28, the people who dwelled in the land. Yeah, here it is. But however, the people that dwelled in the land are strong, and their cities are fortified and very large. And besides, we saw descendants of Anak there. Oh man, these were the Nephilims. These were from Genesis chapter 6 verse 1, if serves me correctly. These were the sons of God who came down and had babies with the women that was on the earth at that time. This was before the flood. But these are the descendants. These are some big boys. These are some Nephilims. They about like 9 feet 9. They're like 10, 11. I mean, they're some huge guys. And so therefore, watch this. They are over there with the grapes. They are over there with the milk. They are over there with the honey. Now this is the Bible talking. This is not me talking. This is the Bible. I find it very interesting that God will sometime place your blessing. You get that? Sometime God will place your blessing right around some distractions. You ain't catching me. God has a very good sense of humor. God is trying to figure out, are you going to still believe him and trust him in the midst of the Nephilims that are around your blessing? Oh, okay. It says, verse 29, the Amalekites dwelled in the land of Nebah, and the Hittites and the Jebusites and the Amorites dwelled in the hill country, and the Canaanites dwelled by the sea along the Jordan. I found this very interesting. You know why God left the people, all those people in the land? God had to keep the land flourishing, so God had to leave somebody there to tend to the land. Think about it. If they were not there, then the land would have become desolate. It would have been. Watch this. Somebody had to have your job before your job, so your job could be a job. You ain't catching me. You ain't catching me. That's why when the Bible say pray for your enemies and stuff like that. Now watch it. John Gruden just got a new contract that he's going to sign on Tuesday for $100 million for 10 years. I mean, now every coach that ain't a hater clapping. You know why? Because of John, who can't coach. I wish I had some real people in here. If John, who can't coach, took Tony Dungy's team to the championship and won a championship with, doggone it, if he could get $100 million, I know Steve Nelson can get $80 million. Y'all ain't catch me. That's why you have to pray for your enemies and pray for confused people, amen? Because you'd be amazed how many people are really just confused as all get out. But you pray for them, so let somebody bless them so that can just raise the bar. Oh, y'all ain't got me. God left them in there so that God did what? What did God do? Increase their faith, Sister Judy. Increase their faith to another level. If he had made it all easy for them, Jeffrey, don't you know when life is good for us, we don't pray like we used to? Don't you know when the stars all line up, you ain't lifting up holy hands, you ain't praying, you ain't fast. You only fast when somebody close to you gets sick. Verse 30 through 32. Let me make you happy. This is a new year. I got to keep you happy. We got 51 more Sundays, though. We got 51 more Sundays. Amen. But I'm going to keep you happy on the first one. Here's the essence of the text. It's right here in the text. Look at the text. Verse 30 and 32. Caleb. Here it is. Somebody in here. Deacon Tom, Deacon Keith, I want you to have a spirit of Caleb. Caleb was willing to take an unpopular stand to do what God had commanded. Here it is. To be effective when you go against the crowd, you must do these three things right here. Here it is. Number one, have the facts. Caleb had seen the land for himself. See, this is good news. Some of you, God has shown you in your spirit, God has shown you your promotion. God has shown you your deliverance. God has shown you your breakthrough. God has shown you your land. God has shown it to you. Caleb, he had seen the milk. He had seen the honey. He had seen the grapes for himself. Number two, you got to have the right attitude. Caleb trusted God's promises to give Israel the land. Watch this. Caleb trusted what? Deacon Ransom? God's promise to give them the land. I want to tell somebody on 2018, if your faith going to go to the next level, you got to trust the promises of God in the midst of the Nephilims, in the midst of the giants, in the midst of the problems, in the midst of sickness, in the midst of disease, in the midst of somebody dying, in the midst of layoffs, in the midst of cutback. You got to trust in the promises of God. Here it is, number three. State clearly what you believe. Caleb said, we can certainly do it. Caleb said, we can certainly do it. Caleb understood that God plus anybody is a majority. Oh yeah, God plus anyone is a what? Is a majority. Verse 33, the Nephilims were giants who lived on the earth before the flood, Genesis 6:4. Here it is, the negative opinion. If I can tell everybody something this year, if I can give you just some advice for free, if you can delete at least 2 negative people from around you, you've already won. Yeah, if you can just delete 2 negative people from around you. Matter of fact, decrease your negative input. You want to go somewhere, decrease your negative input. Oh, okay, I'm trying to help you. You can get Minister Hattie to pray for you all you want. But the minute you go around people who are negative, that gets in your spirit. That slows you down, Chase. That negative people slow you down. They slow you down. They slow you down. They slow you down. They make you go backwards while you think you're going forward. They make you moving, but you're moving backwards. You're moving back. And they don't mean no harm. Some of them don't. Most of them do. Watch this. The negative opinion of the 10 men caused a great rebellion amongst the people. Come just a little closer. It is human nature to accept opinions as facts. Oh yeah, it's a human nature. Someone comes and gives you their opinion, you think that's a fact. That's just that person's opinion. That's all, just like you have an opinion. We all have what? Opinions. One of the things I love so much about just life in general, people have to understand just how you think something about somebody. Well, wait a minute, my turn. My turn. It ain't just your turn. I get a turn. Oh, I know I just teed on 3 people right there. I know I just lost 2 people right there. I'm trying to get you delivered because I want you to understand. Keep your opinion to yourself. Okay, that's another story. Here it is, because the 10 people, I'm going to tell you what happened to them with their negative opinion. I'm going to show it to you in a second, too. Listen. We must be especially careful when voicing our negative opinion. Here it is to all leaders of the church. Here's to all people in life. We're all leaders. What we say may have heavily influenced the actions of those who trust us to give advice. Watch this. When you go home, as we get ready to move on, when you go home, read the narrative. Think about this. When you go home, I'm going to show it to you in the end, in your high-level takeaway. All the 10 who had the negative report and all of their descendants, they died. Parents, our faith going to the next level depends on whether our children will live or die. Our faith in God depends on that. So when you're not operating in faith but you're operating in fear, you just may be cursing that little old pookie pookie wookie wookie woo woo. My sermon. She said, I make money moves. I make money. Yeah. To make money moves. To make Lord. Yeah. Because when God tells you something, God expects you to believe what he's telling you. He expects you to do just what he told you to do. So it was only 2, and that was Caleb and Joshua, who gave a report. They saw everything that the other 10 saw, but they chose with their perspective to believe what God said versus believe what the other 10 said. I want to tell somebody right now, whatever the Lord shows you, whatever the Lord tells you, it doesn't have to be anybody else around you believe it. You just have to believe it. Because at the end of the day, God doesn't bless you based on what somebody else believes. He bless you based on what you believe. He bless you based on your faith. He doesn't bless you based on someone else's faith. You can live with a faithless person. Now, nothing to do with you. You just remain faithful. You just keep faith. You just stay the course and watch what God will do for what you. My spiritual reward is simply this. Jeremiah chapter 17 verse 10. It says, I the Lord searches the heart and tests the mind to give every man according to his ways, according to the fruit of his deeds. I just preached right there. God says He looks at the heart of every man, amen. God looks at the motive of every man, and God judges and God blesses according to your deeds. Can you come just a little closer? God will reward you, Angelo, based on the faith that you have in him to do what only he can do. Sometimes God puts us in a corner, puts us in a situation just so we can prove ourselves that we believe in him. Hebrews 11:6. Without faith, it is impossible to please God. And he's a diligent rewarder to those who what? Seek him. I want to ask a rhetorical question. Is your faith seeking the Lord today? Is your faith seeking the Lord today? I'm asking one more time. Is your faith seeking the Lord today? Because he'll never disappoint you. He'll never disappoint you. Watch this. They wandered in the wilderness for 40 long years. 40 long years they wandered and they wandered and they wandered. And only Caleb and Joshua were able to go in, Sean, into the promised land. All because they believed. Can I help two people real quick? And here's a secret. Here's a secret for you. You don't really have to do but one or two things that the Lord tells you to do. You just, you're trying to do everything, and God said, how about just be faithful in this one thing? You know what I mean? All right, Deacon Tom, God said, how about just be faithful? How about believe me on this? Can I ask you one last thing, Karen? It's going to be something very, very, very challenging, because it wouldn't be faith if it wasn't very, very challenging. God's not going to ask you to have faith on something that's not challenging, because then it wouldn't be no need for God to step in. If your faith going to go to the next level, God has to place a hard thing before you. He got to place a difficult thing upon you before you, so your faith can go to the next level. Your faith must be tested in order to go to the next level. It can't go to the next level with ice cream and cookies. It's got to go with asparagus and Brussels sprouts and spinach and squash, the things that most of us don't like to eat. Here it is. You're going to get this today. The practical reward is this: your next level of faith miracle. You got to get this. This is a good one. Your next level of faith miracle does not start with God. Yeah, look, Kenan, don't you get this, man? Your next level of faith does not start with God. Your next level of faith starts with you. It ends with God. I'm going to say that again. I said your next level faith miracle that you're waiting on right now, it doesn't start with God. It starts with you. It ends with God. How does it start with me? It starts with me based on what I believe. I have to believe that it's going to be. I have to have the faith that it's going to be. And once God sees that I believe and I have the faith in what he said will happen, then God acts based on my faith. Hebrews 11:6. Without faith, it is impossible to what? Please God, and he is a rewarder of those who what? Diligently what? Seek him. Here it is. Here's your high level takeaway. Go to Numbers 14:26-30. Here it is. See, you can't preach 13 without preaching 14. 13 and 14 is all one narrative, Deacon Keith Pettit. It's all one narrative. And the Lord spoke to Moses, because I know some of you, I lost a couple of you when I told you what happened to them other boys. I want to show you what happened to them boys. All right, Deacon Spencer, I want to show you, because I know you think I'm just talking. And the Lord spoke to Moses and to Aaron, saying, how long shall this wicked congregation grumble against me? Pastor Moses was getting a little tired. You get that, Daddy? Pastor Moses, he was getting a little tired of all this grumbling and stuff. Sort of kind of like, no pun intended. The park. I have heard the grumblings of the people of Israel, which they grumble against me. I hear you, Pastor Moses. Preach that thing, Moses. Preach that thing, Moses. Preach that thing, Moses. Say to them, as I live, declares the Lord, what you have said in my hearing, I will do to you. Your dead bodies shall fall in the wilderness, and all of your number listed in the census from 20 years old and upward. Aren't you glad we live in the New Testament? Oh, y'all ain't, aren't you glad we live under grace a little bit? Well, God kind of put up with our foolishness a little bit. Because that fella in the Old Testament wasn't playing at all. So that means God, everybody 20 years old. So that means if Micah turned 20 in October, oh, y'all ain't with me. Y'all ain't with me. So that means if I just turned 20, who have grumbled against me, Chandra, not one shall come into the land where I swore that I would make you dwell, except Caleb and the sons of Judah and Joshua the son of Nun. I'm getting ready. We got to have communion. These deacons are ready to serve communion for their first time, but I'm going to close you with this right here. You just read God's word. Only Caleb and Joshua, who allowed their faith to go to the next level, who went and spied out the land. They saw the Nephilims. They saw the giants, but they also saw the milk. They also saw the honey. They also saw the grapes. I just got a rhetorical question. Which one are you going to look at? You're going to look at the Nephilims? You're going to look at the giants? Or you're going to look at that milk? Or you're going to look at that honey? Or you're going to look at them grapes? I'm trying to tell somebody this morning, right now, is simply this right here. Look at the fruit. Look at the promise. Whatever God promised, that's what you look at. Because God always, Deacon Al, put things around your promises. He never makes it easy for us. He never makes it easy for us. Did you think the cross was easy for Jesus? Did you think the cross was easy for Jesus? I said, do you think the cross was easy for Jesus? He had to carry the cross after he had been beaten all night long. He didn't carry the cross first, then he was beaten. He was carrying the cross after he had been beaten all night long. He carried the cross after he had been falsely accused all night long. He carried the cross for you and for me. He carried the cross. Your promise has a cross attached to it. I just preached to somebody right there. Your promise has a cross attached to it. Can I minister to you for 3 minutes? Change your prayer to this right here. Say, Lord, since I got to have a cross headed to my promise, I know I got to carry it. But can you send me a Simon or Serene? Oh, y'all ain't with me. Oh, yeah, you should have been shouting right there. You should have been shouting, Lord, since we need a cross in here, since I got to carry this cross, because you're going to have a cross. You have a cross to bear. Since I got to carry this cross, Lord, send me a Simon, a Serene. Oh, let me not think that everybody knows the story. When Jesus was carrying the cross, he was falling down, and he was getting back up, and the cross was real heavy for him. They grabbed the African American out of the crowd. That's a lie. There was no African American. They grabbed the black man out of the crowd. He grabbed the black man out of the crowd to help Jesus. In order for your faith to go to the next level, God's going to send you someone to help you. Because no one gets to do this by themselves.
I pray that you truly enjoyed tonight's broadcast. I pray that it was really uplifting to your spirit and to your soul. I pray that you really got some spiritual rest, spiritual renewal, some spiritual relaxation, and some spiritual restoration from the message on tonight. But I just want to ask you a question. Do you have a church home? Do you have a pastor? If you don't have a church home, consider making the Park your church home. If you don't have a pastor, consider allowing me to be the pastor that will speak to your spirit, speak to your soul, encourage you on your Christian journey. God has a destination for you, and I want to be a part of that.